to harbour into discussion there. Now, as I said today, we're discussing marriage. If you've been married for so many years and no children come, should you move on and find somebody else? I've got two guests that's going to be sharing their stories and their opinions with us. All right, first and foremost, Mrs. Patience Ajekum. She's the CEO of Olive Branch Capital Microfinance, and Nana Kofi Nyanko, who is an accountant and also an entrepreneur, and they both join me now. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, I mean, in our culture, you know, Nanaba even said it this morning, once you get married, usually if you have a wedding, 6 months later, if they see you, eshaho. You know, if after a year, 2 years, when is it, 3, 4, 5, 8, and then usually after the 5th year, you know, the woman is deemed a witch. She has, you know, we hear all sorts of stories. I'm going to start with you, Mrs. Ajekum. Just share your personal story, because when you got married, it took a while before your children came along.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. It got a while before giving birth, but one important thing I can say is it is the God factor. I prayed a lot, and I attend a Bible-believing church that is a praying church. And some of the pastors helped me with prayer. So you must be a believer and have that faith. It is faith and grace and hard work that has brought me thus far.
How many years into after marriage were you able to conceive your first child?
About 9 years.
9 years. Yes. In this Ghana?
In this Ghana.
Okay, so I'm just thinking, you know, obviously the first year, no children, not a big deal. Second year, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Yes, you're praying. What were people saying about you, whether as far as you know, behind your back? I can just imagine.
Especially when you dress. I mean, you look good. You have people saying, you don't have a child, and look at how you are dressed.
Hey, so if you don't have children, you should wear rags.
Exactly. But wow. I have the opinion that you need to come all out, be yourself. Whatever people say, they talk, but whatever they say, you need to be yourself and be bold and come out. You know, you have to work. If you have to educate yourself or schooling, you have to continue doing that. If you have to do any other work or any other business, you put yourself into all that.
Don't sit at home and cry.
You don't sit at home and cry, because the cry will not solve the problem. Though I did at a point, because you are a human being. So I must admit that fact. But after a while, it's like, no, life must go on. So I have to move on my life.
Okay. Nana, what's your view on this? If you know, after a long time in marriage, I know you're not married yet, but if after a long time in marriage and the children are not coming, would you consider a divorce?
Well, Amma, as she said, it's quite true. It takes time. It took time for her. But then again, we live in a society where you're being judged a lot. As she said, 9 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, you can imagine what she went throughout all those years. But the thing is, there are other ways or other means that you can tap into. Getting a child shouldn't always be limited to you having your own. You can adopt.
Some people foster.
Exactly.
Some people do IVF, you know, and all sorts of medical treatments to help.
You can tap into all these areas. And the thing is, if you've realized you can't have children, then you can go ahead and do that. But what if the lady is not ready? She wants to have her own.
I know, because there are some women out there and some men, you know, who don't want to have children. I do know a couple. There's not many, but I do know some who just, I don't want to have children.
And I can be in a relationship like that where you say, since I'm not having my own child, then that means we are not going to go into other means of getting one. Then it's not a sustainable relationship.
So for you, if you're in a relationship and the children are not coming and the woman doesn't want to adopt, for you, you would be out. So for you, it's not the fact that she's not able to bear children. But if marriage for you
we
has
can
to
tap
have
into other means of getting a child. Because I believe parenting shouldn't be limited to you having your own child. Exactly. So if that discussion should come on board, we sit down, we talk. Since it's been 9 years, if you're not having a child, why don't we go to other means of getting a child?
Okay. Patience, let me ask you, did you consider adoption with your husband during those years?
In my case, interestingly, my husband had other children.
Prior.
So I have
you were already a mother. So, okay.
Yes,
when you married, you became a stepmother.
Yes. So I was already a mother from the start, you know. And I took these children as my own. In fact, that's one thing that helped me. And I also want to encourage other women out there to do that. Like he said, there are other ways you adapt or you know, that kind of thing. It shouldn't be your own. And surprisingly, one of my daughters, in fact, the first one of my birthdays, give me a present. It's like a picture, a painting. And you have this mother with a child. So she took the mother, you know, the drawing of the mother from there, and then put my picture there, having a baby.
Nice. This is your
my stepchild.
Your stepchild. Wow.
And normally I don't discriminate. I don't even tell the difference. And when you really come home or come with us, you can see the difference. I'm one with them. They are my children. I don't say I have one child, 2 children, 3, or whatever it is. And I have about 8 children.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes.
So, so at least biologically, you and your husband have 2 children.
I have one. Miraculously, if we want to talk about that, that's another story. Added 1. So 2.
Wow.
I don't want to go into it. Will take time. It's a long story. So miraculous. So I have 2. And then my husband's children, 4. So 6. With my house help, I don't even call them house help. They are my children. If you pass through my home, you are my child. So far as you humble yourself and be with me.
Okay, I just want to talk about some of the stigma we have in our society. Essentially, in Ghana, and funny enough, the onus is usually on the woman, whether it's the man's problem or not. But in terms of support, did you have your husband's support? Did you have your in-law support?
Yes. In my case, I had my husband's support fully. He supported me in every single step that we have to take in looking for a child. Though he had his. With other men, they may not. It depends on the situation. But in my case, he supported me fully. And my stepchildren also supported me fully.
Wow. Okay, we've got some views of some people on the street. So take a look and then we're going to continue the discussion.
It's God who blesses. So if at a point God gives you or bless your womb, then you should be able to have a child. He said there are some cases which don't come on Christians. For you to be barren, that one is away from a Christian. So if you marry, it's God blessing that you should have children. The only thing is, if you are barren, technically, probably you have to go and check or something. And if there is something that it must be done, then the results will come. So I know God's time is the best. Definitely, at the right time, we will have children.
Awo be my yes, I'm almost having. Omo wale a sabi bibintie bi awo ma na awo fo no titi oba no. Me pense o munya no mu fa manyame. Fa obi beti ma wo. Na so problem obe famu no sabi nko anwo kura nkaye. Obi su be wo. Ni manyina bewu. Anasa na ma be ya kromfo be ya udifo. Na de compare fine. If so be kura na ase be asoma no be nyi. Nyame so nimbotaye pati ntira. Iti mesre esre ejina so sre se so bi ba wale na se onwo ya onye busuofo onye nipa bonefo yenya no ebi mpa ne bre pam no na me be hye no anmanya na nyankopon pese wode ne ye nsankire ne anaze wode ne ye afutuo bi e ma afoforo
oba de say at least also otome oni be matena se wo wan wo an say hu ni fa so because say obi na wo na wo so wa wo also by force. Oba no wo jana enye because so far as ware no your yere to the best in say obomode nanka you say we ware fufuru aka no ho ana bibi sa na nanka ba wo ja oba no de enye be ba no de afru a also say we den wo treat wo ho o say oba no timi e ko ware kan na be oba ware be ma aka be ma ho de enye yi.
All right, so there's some sample views there. All right, I'm just talking, of course, about childlessness in marriage. Should it lead to divorce, especially if it's been for so many years? I want to come back to your Patience. You know, you said you're one of the lucky people, and I say because a lot of times when you hear stories of children not coming, automatically is a woman's fault.
Exactly.
People, our society, and I hear of stories of in-laws sacking people and, tormenting them. Since you've been there, what advice would you say to any woman watching right now who is going through a similar issue, whether it's 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is, because I can't imagine what they'll be going through.
I want to say this. Interestingly, before I got married, someone wanted to marry me before I married Mr. Jekum. And one of the things that my mother-in-law, okay, she's not my mother-in-law because we didn't marry, was said that she thinks that I may not give birth or I will not give birth outrightly.
Wow.
Outrightly. So right from the beginning, it was like we hadn't married, there was this problem, So I realized that it wasn't even safe to go into that marriage, because I don't know what was going to happen, because I didn't also marry early. Fine. So what I will advise my fellow sisters and women out there is to don't keep to yourself. Open up, open up, go out there, seek for help from medical, professionals, from pastors, and people that you deem it fit. Talk to people. Don't just relax and stay back at home and cry like we earlier on said. And move on with your life by working hard. So you can have some talks to maybe, let's say, a fellowship or a church program. Keep yourself busy and then work as well. I'm a CEO, like you rightly said. I also own a food joint. I do some other businesses. You don't have to just stay back. And I was doing this. I'm the type that would want to. I'm a hard-working lady or woman. I would go out there and do everything that will help me or bring money home to keep me busy and to keep my home also. Okay. So I would advise them not to sit back, but rather move on their lives. If it's education, you can take on an education or educational program and build your skills and capacity.
All right. Now let me ask. We do also have people in our society who I've said want to have children. It's not that many, but there are some people. And I know, for example, if a man says he doesn't want to have kids, it seems okay. But when a woman says, I don't want to have kids. If I don't, they're not really bothered. Is that a woman that you think you would go ahead with and marry?
I don't think so.
Why is that?
I think when you define a family without kids is like you having roommates. You and your partner, you're just roommates. The moment kids set in, the family is set. The family is packed. So you can't say you won't have kids. No. You can't say you won't have kids. And I don't think it's advisable.
But it shouldn't be up to the person's choice.
Let's say I don't want to have children.
Let me give you an example. There's a lot of people who hate their parents because their parents were abusive. They didn't take care of them. So if somebody has made the smart decision that, because we hear of stories, people murdering their children, and all sorts of abuses. And we say there's not every single person that should be a parent. So if somebody knows in their mind that maybe I'm a selfish person, maybe me, I'm not good with taking care of kids, so I decide not to, shouldn't we rather commend that kind of person?
Well said. But if you know that's your case, and you are getting married to someone who wants kids, you can imagine the circumstance as at that point. So all you need to do is to know who you are. If you know you don't want to have kids, just stay on your own then. If you want to get married to someone who also doesn't want to have kids. It's safe that way.
Okay, as a man on the panel, I have to ask, because a lot of times, I said earlier, when the children are not coming, the woman gets the blame. I mean, without anything, is the woman. But a lot of times, it is the man. If you found yourself in a situation like that, would you be man enough to say, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I get tested to know it's not me?
Yeah, that's the way forward. If you find out that you're not having kids, both of you need to get tested. It's not only the woman. Both the man and the woman need to get tested. You get to know whose side it's from, then see the way forward from there. So, yeah.
But why do you think, Patience, why do you think in our society the woman always is the easiest person to get the blame?
We say that the women are the weaker vessels.
We're the stronger vessels, actually.
Yes, that is what's been said, but I don't believe that. So with that, it is like, it is the woman who conceives, who gives birth. They have forgotten that it is the man who have to put in the sperm for the woman to be impregnated, So that is why mostly it's been said that the fault is with the women. But I don't think that it should be that. we should also check, like my brother said, we should check, the man should check, and the woman should also check. And both of you will have to agree and visit the hospital. Yeah. If you don't do that and you just sit back in your home and say that I'm not giving, I'm just crying, you cry, you get anything. Yeah, so.
Okay, so being positive. Okay, well, I will share with everyone before we end. I have a friend has a 51-year-old friend who, after so many years of marriage, conceived twins naturally. 51, and it even says, Abraham and Sarah.
Yeah.
So maybe it could. There are miracles. I mean, you described yours as miracles.
I would say both. It's both a miracle and medically, because I put the two together because I was visiting the gynecologist and I was praying. So I believe that God wanted to prove something.
Nice.
God wanted one day to be here and also tell people.
And obviously share your story. Okay,
exactly.
we're gonna go over to Kevin because this is so exciting. And Kevin's gonna take some comments. Kevin, would you stay in a marriage? If the children are not forthcoming as quick as you'd like?
I would. Like Nana said, there are other means to to have a baby. It's not everyone. It doesn't have to be biological, does it?
Exactly.
I mean, like Patience said, anyone that passes through her house is her child.
But I know people usually say that, but a lot of times when women are going through the kind of torment they go through, that's another thing.
I think they worry because of families and what. I mean, we've seen
they call them witches.
We've seen the Ghanaian movies where
yes.
Hey, whoa, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
I've seen arguments where it's like, what your back or one year shit.
Exactly. Do you know what?
Can you imagine someone saying that to you?
Let me actually give you this. Someone says, oh yes, if a woman is not giving birth, then what is the difference between she and her husband? The last time I checked, it's only gay marriages that don't give birth.
Wow. Okay, please carry on with your comments.
Okay.
Strong.
Right. Okay. So let's take some more comments on this very topic. And Samuel Yako says, this should never be a factor for divorce. After all, we don't create babies. It is Jehovah that provides. Also, Nana Kwame Osasari says, Abraham and Sarah were childless. God gave him an alternative that ruled divorce out of the possibilities. But Christians today claim Abraham a prophet and friend of God Most High, erred by committing adultery. They label Ishmael legitimate. Okay. So that's from Nana there. Let's see. James says, why do we marry? It's because of children. Please, will you be excited or continue to work without getting your salaries? That's very interesting points we have. Let's see here. Kuku says, it should not be the reason. It's a gift from God. Love is the most important aspect of marriage. It all comes down to love. Let me take my final ones on this topic. Annan Eric says, that should not lead to divorce. Let's look at Abraham and Sarah, their issue. That is why all those things happen to show us how faith in our God, what faith in our God can do. And Edmond also says, it will be difficult, but I do not think it will make me divorce my wife. So that is some comments that our viewers have been bringing in. Amma, what do you think about those comments? You don't even know what to say.
No, it's quite interesting because I think this is one of those topics.
Yeah.
It gets people very riled up in our society. And I think a lot of times it's easier when, we're on TV, we're discussing it. But when someone is going through it, and I even hear of some people, maybe they have one child. And it's taking maybe 10 or 12 years.
I have a second one. I just had a discussion in one of the rooms. That's the person had one child after 8 years before she had the second one. So it's a stress too. You see, if you go through stress, you allow stress to overtake you. You're going to go through this problem.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. We're going to just continue with the discussion. Do you think, obviously, do you think we're going to see a time in our society, Ghana, Africa? I mean, I think this whole thing happens the whole world over, but I feel like in this part of the world, we take it very strongly. Do you think attitudes is going to change over time? Because, I mean, as far as I can remember, it's there. And I said, if you're a woman even past a certain age, you don't have a child, yeah, sitting on TV, go and born. They've told that to me. I've been told that. What are you doing, man? You should go and born. It's something in society.
Attitudes, the society, this part of our world, I don't know, but it's going to be very difficult. very difficult because then you get married and the next 2 months people start counting your footsteps.
Exactly.
Uncle, onion.
But yet it's a problem too when we deem, okay, someone too gets pregnant and not married. It's like, can you live your life for other people?
The society binds us in everything that we do. So every step you take, they judge you.
Yes.
You understand? So if you get married within the first 3 months after your marriage, what they're expecting to see with your belly out. And if it's not out there, then that means there's a problem. Then they start questioning that. Oh.
At the same time, too, if you're a married mother, okay. The business Ajukum, I love your story. You seem like a very strong woman. I just want to talk about those dark moments, those times when, you know, was there ever a time that you just thought, I'm going to give up? It's not going to happen? Because 9 years, it's a long time.
That's what I'm saying. You really need the support of your husband and people around you. You should get positive people to be by you. If you always want to be with people who would look down on you, then you're going to have problems. So it will be better if you are in that situation now. It is better to, you know, mingle with people who are going to encourage you.
That's easier said than done because some women are in societies. Maybe they're out. They maybe left the town they're from, gone to another town to marry. Maybe their own family is not even around. There's sometimes that people don't necessarily have that support around them.
You see, the support group is very necessary. You need to have a support group if you're in a situation like that. It helps you calm yourself down and see the way forward in your situation. The moment there's no support group, you are alone. You see, a lonely mind can think into anything.
Yeah.
So the support group is really necessary.
It's very necessary, like he said. And as we are saying, it is not an easy thing. It wasn't easy at all, honestly speaking.
I can imagine.
It's like you need people to support. And like I said, my husband supported me. Yeah. My children or my other children supported me. And people around me support me. Though you have few people who will, you know, sound a bit rough on you a few times, you know. That's what I'm saying. Don't go near such people. That is what you, the woman, you have to be bold and take up. You don't have to go near where, in fact, if you go to a place where you'll be humiliated, you don't have to be there. So I have tried not to mingle with people who would humiliate me or people who would look down on me.
At the time. Okay, so also then, you know, I can imagine when you did have your first child, what was that feeling like? Because obviously the people telling you that you are dressed nice. How dare you be dressed nice when you weren't having kids? After you had kids, then...
But you also be surprised that the very people who say that you have dressed nice or you are dressed and you have not given birth, they are the same people who will say that, hey, who are dear? Who dress a power? So you don't know what people really want. You don't know what people really want. That's what I'm saying. You should be yourself. Yeah. You should be your own person. That's really what you should do. You should be bold and move ahead. In fact, that's the most important. And then avoid stress. If you don't avoid stress, you're going to have problems. I remember one time I was coming from the house. We used to have early morning prayers on Saturdays at my church, some Saturdays. And one morning when I was driving, in fact, from the house, I was weeping, seriously weeping. Then my point is that, hey, when am I going to get my own child? You know, that kind of thing. When at all? So you are a human being, naturally those things will come. Yeah. I wept when I got there. I was very moody. I was going to pray. Wow. I was very moody and restless and helpless. I didn't know what to do. But I had some faith, you know, that one day God was going to do it.
Wow. And so he did.
And he did.
Wow. Okay.
So I was really happy when I had it.
Thank you.